We did really weird imagery. We did volumetric capture as imagery, which is unusual.
Oh, okay. So volumetric. That's maybe I'm thinking that was sound.
No, it's the imagery of the VR sequences when she goes into her mother's mind.
Oh.
So the way that was captured was just very. It's an unusual process to be used in that way in a film. So like there's a process in computer graphics called photogrammetry where if you take 100 photos of like an object like this, hundreds of different angles, and you give it to a computer, it can extrapolate a three-dimensional object, kind of like a CAD file. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing with photogrammetry is it also brings all of the image data with it as well. So you'd get the different colors and the surfaces and stuff. So volumetric capture is the idea of doing that 24 times a second. So if you were to capture an actress 24 times a second, she would be fully three-dimensional in the way that this is. So it's like 3D video. Mm. And then once you have, the performances from the actors, you can put them in synthetic computer-generated environments and then begin to light them and select your cameras.
So that's what the sequence when she's lying there and she goes into her mother's mind.
Yeah.
That's how you did that.
Exactly. Yeah. That was part of the reverse engineering of how the movie came about was, if everything is paused for now and let's use this time to make something else. What are the things I want to do? And one of the ideas was I want to use volumetric capture at some point. It's not clear how to use that in a movie, but I want to use it somehow. And then another idea was this idea of the Vatican kind of buying up corporations with all of the capital that they have and playing on the trope of exorcist priests, but acting a slightly more 21st century way. And I sort of combined those two, and that was the basis for what the movie became. But the VR thing is interesting because, I think people often talk about the idea of narrative. They talk about the future of games, and they talk about like how films and games are going to kind of merge. And it's interesting because I think what your kids are responding to is where I think games truly are going, which is just some kind of pure immersion.
Yeah.
It's actually the opposite of narrative, right? If you want a story, if it's like the age-old sort of sitting around a campfire and being told a story, the point of that is that you're passive. The whole point is that someone has learned something in life or gone through some event or has some point of view on something that they're passing down to you in the form of a story. And as an audience member, you can almost simulate what may have happened to you if you had done that, or if you had lived through it, or what choices would I have made, right? There's a sort of a meme of cultural data that's kind of given to you, or personal information that's given to you in a way that's sort of beyond words. And I think games are the exact opposite. What they hold, they hold the ability for you to be the player inside of the world that makes your own decisions and makes your own mistakes. So there's this misconception where it's like some cases of narrative could work, but for the most part, it feels like doubling down on photoreal immersion, which is basically some kind of like wish fulfillment, right? You're dropping an audience into, it's like Strange Days with the bank robbery, and then you wear the neural link and you can feel what it's like to rob a bank.
Yeah,
it's like that's where games I think are going, and that's where VR and like everything is sort of moving in that direction. So speaking about demonic and volumetric capture, we used Unity, which is a game engine, to render the scenes that are in the virtual reality parts of the movie. So what that means is they're live scenes. So in the audience, when they're watching the movie, it looks like you're just watching a VR scene. But we could, like Alien Isolation, we could port those out to VR. So you could sit and watch those scenes in total virtual reality because of what I was saying about volumetric capture, capturing the actors in 3D. So it's not like the gimmick that people do with films into VR where it's a 360-degree camera and it's fake. It's actual immersive, real three-dimensional footage running in a game engine.
Do you anticipate a time where there's ever a legitimate film released in VR like that? Where, whether it's for the Oculus or some new technology where you put some headphones on and, and everybody does that to go watch a film?
Yeah, but you would do it at home. But I mean, it goes back to the narrative versus, the passive versus active experience discussion. Where
right.
I think the way to do it, like if you imagine a Tarantino coffee table discussion, like the amazing beginning of Inglorious Bastards, right? If you were sitting at that table like we are now, and it was immersive 3-dimensional VR, the experience would be really pretty great. So you can still be a passive audience member and watch it in VR like that. And I think that's coming. But it's still different to merging narrative with a game structure, where I think audiences will be very particular about, they want to either be in control of everything or they want to be given a story and be taken on a ride.
Right. Yeah.
But it is coming though. VR 3-dimensional cinema, you could say, is definitely coming.